Yeah. Yeah, hesitant about getting on to, make the appointment with your client because we're doing them by Zoom now. So, and you guys can do the same thing and, practice with someone. Set up your Zoom account, go through all your settings, make sure it's all set up so that you're prepared, so you can do a little practice. So I'm just going to pretend Sonia is my potential client. And so this is prior to getting on Zoom. Okay, prior to getting on Zoom, I would call Sonia up. Okay, I'm going to have to turn the mics off here though. I'm getting a little bit of noise. So, okay, it's muted. All right. Okay, so let's say I call Sonia up. Again, we're not on the computer yet on Zoom. I'm just calling Sonia up and I'm saying, "Hi Sonia, how are you doing today?"
Hey Kim, I'm good.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to follow up with you from our last conversation. You were talking about that you would possibly be ready to list your home. And, there's a lot of things going on. We kind of touched base a little bit about, everything going on with COVID-19. We had a little conversation over the phone, but I thought it would be great if we could have a face-to-face meeting online on Zoom. And then that way I can also share the listing documents with you so that you can see them and we can run through them in case you have any questions. How does that sound?
Yeah, I think that would be probably better so we can kind of look at them together, right?
Yeah, so I'm thinking, how about this Thursday or Friday, maybe about 1 p.m.? Does that work for you?
Yeah, Friday works better for me.
Okay, Friday at 1 p.m. So this is what happened. So I have an online account with Zoom. I'm all set up already. So I will send you a link to your email. It's very easy. When you go into your email, you will see an email from me and there will be an invitation to a Zoom link. And all you do is click that link and we'll be connected and we'll be able to look at our faces.
Awesome. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then we'll go over the documents at that time. Okay.
Perfect.
So, yeah, so just, confirm and let me know that you did receive the email link maybe that morning, whether you have it or not, and, that way we'll proceed from there. Okay? All right, guys. So anyhow, that was just the initial, phone conversation. It's just saying, hey, let's, set up this meeting first, right? Number one. And then we're going to go over everything. So now let's say that, I've sent her the link. Sonia just signed on, and now I'm saying, oh, so see, now we're face to face. We can, talk to each other here. So can you see the screen and you hear me okay, Sonia? You can hear everything okay?
I can hear you. I can see you. I cannot
Okay.
see your screen.
Well, no, but you just see me. I haven't shared anything yet. So
Okay.
anyhow, right. So again, for our last conversation, I wanted to make sure that you understand the documents as far as, listing your home and our new process of what we have to go through. So you bear with me. I am going to share my screen now, and in a moment, you should be able to see the document. Okay,
And
scroll.
Kim,
Yes.
these are the what documents are we gonna look at?
Yeah, these are the documents that, that we go over, review, and sign if you agree to allow me to list your home. Okay?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
so can you see the documents now?
Yep.
Okay, great. So the
Awesome.
first document is the disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship. Basically, what this form is talking about my duties to you and my agency relationship with you, being the client, and my responsibilities as a realtor, which is basically to be fair and honest, right? And it talks about this section here under seller's agent. Okay, so we need to be honest and fair, disclose any known facts, um, everything that we need to do here. There's a section about a buyer's agent, but for right now, we're talking about this section, my duties to you. And this form needs to be, discussed before discussing any real estate. There's not really anything to fill out here. You're just signing that you did, read it, receive it, we discussed it. And basically, this is just a form we do before you signing and talking about, other real estate services. Okay?
Okay. I gotcha. So the way that this would work is you'll be my seller's agent, right? And then I'm just signing here that I've seen the form, right?
You've seen the form, you understand my responsibilities to you as a real estate agent. Okay?
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah. So that's the first document. And again, I'm just gonna scroll through the documents, explain some, and you will have the opportunity to, sit down and read them later because they are in your email. And then if you're fine with that, I will send them over electronically so that, you can sign them electronically, basically.
Gotcha.
Okay? All right. So the next form after that is the possible representation of more than one buyer or seller. And this form simply means that I could represent multiple clients at the same time, right? I could have a buyer myself who may want to look at your property while I'm representing you, okay? So it talks about dual agency here when you represent both buyer and seller, okay?
Okay, so does that
Yeah.
mean that I'm going to be paying you all of the commission?
Well, no, the commission that you pay, I split that with the agent on the other side if another agent represents the buyer. But if I do represent both the buyer and seller, technically the amount stated in the listing agreement would be the same amount unless you and I, needed to change it later for some reason, or, we have a different agreement with that.
Okay, so can you give me a discount if you find the buyer?
Sure, I would be happy to do that.
How
Okay.
much?
Sonia.
No, but like, what do you normally do if you sell all these properties, Kim, and then you end up finding the buyer? I mean, what do you normally do for your clients?
Yeah, normally if I represent the buyer and the seller, I would be willing to reduce it to a 4% typically. Okay, but there would be a clause in there should that particular buyer fall out, and then we end up with another agent who has their own buyer, then we will convert back to our usual either 5 or 6%. Is that
Okay,
fair?
gotcha.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, so that's what this form says, and again, you can sign electronically. And then we have the wire fraud advisory, which should be, pretty clear, advising you about, so much wire fraud going on. You want to make sure that you speak directly with escrow before wiring any funds. That's very important. Okay,
Okay.
so we'll do that.
So if they email me from escrow to wire the money there, can I wire it there?
You should call escrow first. Okay.
Okay. So
And
only,
see, and that is number 2 on this document. Do not ever wire or electronically transfer funds prior to calling to confirm the transfer instructions, okay? Directly. So you want to make sure you call escrow and actually speak with the escrow officer, and you can, confirm and verify that they did, in fact, send you that email, and check the account number, okay? Right? You want to confirm that that is their correct account number before sending any money, okay? And then down here, they actually give the information on, where to go to should you have a wire fraud issue. Okay, just so you know.
I hope I don't have to go there.
I hope not. Just confirm with the escrow first and you should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally heard from other friends who've sold their houses that they were warned against the escrow details literally coming from the exact email of the escrow officer. Like, it doesn't even have to be different anymore. They can hack it and it'll look like it's exactly the same.
Exactly. But that's why I said you call the escrow company and you confirm the account number, because yes, they're sending the same email, but there may be the account number is changed. So you're sending the money to that account number. That's where it's going. So you need to call and confirm with the escrow officer the account number.
Gotcha.
Okay. And
Okay.
now we are at the actual residential listing agreement. Okay. So this is a document where you authorize us to sell the property. Okay. So I have your name correct. Well, not really correct, but I have your name correct. Okay. And you are granting Keller Williams Realty South Bay. And normally I have dates in here. Obviously, you have to have a beginning and a term date here, or it won't be valid, guys. And your property address is here. Yeah, I would repeat the address. And I believe, during our last conversation, we did go over comps a little bit, and I believe that a good price is 700,000, right? So you're fine with that?
Yeah, that's okay. Mhm.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
all
So
right.
just a question for you, Kim. So, what happens, like, when can we go, when is this gonna go live? Like, when do people start seeing my house?
Well, right now, showings are being done virtually, if at all possible. Okay, they can try to go to the property. Of course, there's a little procedure for that. It's going to be by appointment only if we need people to go in. There's a
Okay.
form that they have to sign. It's called it's a property entry form that they'll need to sign. Anytime a visitor's going in, they'll have to send it to me. I would have to give them a authorization code to get into the property. And I'm saying that, you guys, because of course, right, the seller will not know all of our real estate terms, our jargon that we use.
Right.
So I'm kind of, changing that up a little bit. And so, I'm going to do like a Matterport or a virtual tour. It will look really nice with, beautiful photos that they can see of your property. And that's a good place where buyers can start. And then if they actually need to go into the property, then they can do that. But initially, with our new real estate industry guidelines, this is the way that we need to go. Okay? And we can, yes, and if you have more questions about that, we can go over that also later.
Okay, and then just for the timeline, so for beginning and ending, so if you put the date today, this has to be on MLS by when?
Today, I would put it on today, unless we sign an exclusion form. If you feel like you don't want the property to go on to the MLS maybe for a week, I would have you fill out an exclusion form and we will put the date to be a week later, that it will go on the MLS.
Gotcha. So any date they put in that number one beginning on, that it has to go on there at that time, right?
Right, yes, correct. Okay.
Cool.
And our listing agreements are always at 6%. We did go over that a little bit in the last conversation. I gave you a little calculation of what 6% of the 700,000 would be. And remember that if another agent represents the buyer, the commission will come out of that as well. And they would actually be getting 2.5% of that 6% commission. Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So where does it say that you'll give me a discount?
I normally put that in other terms, which
Okay.
will be towards almost the last page, I think, well, close to it, page 4. I will add that here for you, that should I represent the buyer, then commission will be reduced to 4%, okay? So I can put that on there prior to you signing, prior to me sending it over to you.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, so that was a commission. And then any items that we want excluded or included, we will put this here on the next page. So for example, maybe somebody wants to leave some custom window coverings, or maybe there's some ceiling fans they want to have removed, or maybe the appliances are included versus excluded, then that information would go here.
Okay. What about my Ring camera system?
Well, do you want to take it or do you want it to stay?
I love bringing up problems.
Right.
Well, it has an app, and I paid a lot of money for it. Like,
Mhm.
I could take those cameras with me. Should I, or should I leave them?
That I'm going to leave up to you, but we do need to know prior to going live with this listing. And whatever we have on here, and especially once I put on the MLS, hopefully we don't have to change it. If so, we'd have to make any changes before an offer comes in, because we won't be able to change after that. So please really think about that and let me know, today, if at all possible, so that I can get that on there. Okay. Yeah. And this section here talks about if there's any leased or liened equipment that you might have, water softener, solar power system,
Okay, so we have solar panels that are leased. So
Okay,
how do we have to
then we
include
need to put that in here. We'll need to know what your payment is on that as well, if the buyer is going to assume that payment. Okay, that's going to be very important for the buyer's lender as well.
So what if they don't want them?
If they don't want them,
Yeah.
well, I think they will have to assume it unless, well, you'll want to speak to your company and maybe see about paying that off, or maybe it could get paid off through escrow. Okay, so we want to have a conversation with the company that you lease the equipment from.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let's take a look at that pretty quickly. Maybe give them a call, by the morning and get back to me.
Okay.
Um, okay, so basically, guys, we're just kind of doing a quick run through because Sonia got some things that she's going to go through as well. And so this was just to get you to just the initial conversation of, doing the virtual Zoom. Okay, so you would just go through the listing agreement and tell your client to read it over even after you've gone through it. I always say you can do a follow-up email because that's kind of your CYA, right? You have a follow-up email saying, thank you for, speaking with me and, going over the documents with me. Please read through the documents thoroughly for yourself and let me know if you have any more questions prior to signing these documents. So then you have that email trail that you said that you had discussed the documents with the client. You asked them if they had any questions to let you know prior to signing. So that's covering yourself. Okay? Okay, Sonia?
Yeah. So I want to open it up to you guys as well, but let me ask you, Kim, how did you feel about that? Like that was so easy because you had it open, right?
Right.
You were just like ready to go. For me personally, it really helped me when and I know the contract, but when you highlighted it, when you were talking about that particular section, I
Yeah.
think that's really important in the virtual world. Also, I would just say I wasn't, I was bringing up stuff, but people, they go back, they don't go in order. So you have to I think remember that, as you're going down the sheet, people might jump back or go back, and you just want to stay real calm so it doesn't look like you're scrolling up and down and up and down,
Yeah.
no, you were good. I'm just saying if I'm like, wait, so, because I almost was like, wait, you skipped a page, but I know that it's a part of the the first page. So
Right.
I
And
don't
just
know.
learning, I'm sorry, I was gonna say, and just trying to really, I guess you're gonna have to play around with this Zoom. It doesn't hurt to practice with someone or go online, look at the YouTube videos, because right now I just clicked where it has annotations and it has where you can draw, and then that could help too. And I really meant to do that initially, but you see this square here? This one's a little light. Maybe you can change the color. But you see that? So if I'm saying this paragraph, so look at number 21. See, it's allowing me to put this in a square, and I can say
And
this
this
is
is
right
on
here.
Zoom, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, you get here from when you hit, it's more and annotate, right? Or where is
Yes,
it? Yeah.
yes.
So in the box, if you're not.
Yeah, it opens up the box there. Oh, it does let me change the color as well. So anyone else watching is gonna be like, yes, you can change the color.
Yeah, maybe something darker than the
Yeah,
yellow one,
I
you know?
did red. I just
Yeah.
changed to red. So hold on, let's see. Right here, and red would be great. Oh, look at that. There you go.
Yeah, so that might be a,
See, yes, you can say I'm on paragraph 20, and you can outline that there.
okay. Love that. Any questions, guys? Please unmute yourselves and just ask a question.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Thank you.
I noticed it in the contract when there's a 6% commission. Why is it not, maybe it's naive of me, why is it that it's always 2%, 2.5% to the other broker instead of a 50-50 split? Any particular reason, or is that just the way it's done?
No, typically it have been split. I just put that just to, as an example. Some people put 2.5, some put 3. There's been a 4 and a 2 before. It just, Listen, so right
Depending
here.
on one's level of greed, okay?
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to do that. I just put 2.5. I mean, because sometimes when you're actually looking on the MLS, you're mostly seeing 2.5 sometimes, right?
2.5, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so
I was
that's
just
why.
wondering, was there any particular reason or any rule, or is that just the way it is right now?
It's not a rule, if I make him. It's more like, here's the deal, right? Let's say you take this listing, Richard. Who's paying
Mhm.
for the photos? You,
That would be my other question. Or is it because you're doing most of the marketing and doing the work, and you feel like, yeah, hey, as long as there's a valid reason, I was just curious.
yeah. So think about it. If the home doesn't sell, you're out that money. You don't, like, that's it. You never made the commission off of it or anything. So usually the listing side makes a little bit more than the buyer side. So on that note, and I think that that's a really great conversation.
Yeah.
So when people ask about commissions, so there's a couple of really good scripts I've heard around this when they're like, well, what's the commission, right?
Right.
Well, Mr. Seller, I typically have three choices. So normally people pick 6% commission. That means that the buyer agent gets 2.5% of that, and I collect 3.5% of that because I'm doing the photos and paying some money up front. Okay. The second option would be for us to do 7% listing. This means that the buyer agent actually collects 3.5%, and I still only collect the 3.5% as well. Can you see how that would bring more buyers to your property? Yeah, okay, I can see that, but that's a lot of money. Okay, yeah, so the last option would be to do 8%. So that means that I'm still only collecting the 3.5%, but now we're paying the buyer's agents 4.5%. Can you see how somebody would bring more buyers to your property than to the ones that are right down the street in your neighborhood? And they go, oh
Yes.
my God, like this is a strategy conversation, and you can totally play dumb and go that direction. Some people do that. They're like, no, I want everyone to bring them here. If there's 50 homes for sale in the neighborhood, how do you position yourself to be in the front? Well, you either go pretty low, right, on the price so that it creates a lot of traction, or you offer the buyer's agents a bigger commission, and it's going to actually bring them probably multiple offers, which will end up netting them more money, right?
I have seen that.
Yeah. So, but you never, guys, don't go lower than the 2.5 on the buyer agent side. You
Right.
guys know when you're looking at two different properties, you're going to direct your clients. Like, even if we're not directing, you're always going to want to, like, you might talk to
Amen.
the other property, right?
Yes,
Because,
ma'am.
yeah. And so it just, you don't want to reduce it on that side. If you're reducing your
Right.
commission, you better be talking about your own money. Seriously, like, it's just
Yeah.
not nice.
Exactly, Sonia.
Right.
Exactly. And then Richard, I'm
Okay.
just showing you this paragraph 3 here. Just remember, the amount or rate of real estate commission is not fixed by law. This is all negotiable. Okay. They're set by each broker individually.
Just tell
Okay.
them that your broker will chop off your hands if you charge less than 5%.
and she looks so nice, but don't mess with her money. Okay, I got it.
Right. Don't mess
Okay.
with our money.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I know that Kim said 4%, and sometimes when we have these really high commission homes around here, like, we don't want to obviously be greedy, but I would still only say, like, it's 6% unless I do want to be competitive in the marketplace. If I end up finding the buyer too, in which case I'll charge my clients 5% then. And so I've actually overcome a lot of objections initially, like without them asking me about me representing the buyer. When they say, well, someone else said 5%. And in that case, I would say, yes, well, I will be competitive if I do find the buyer too, which is very possible. I know a lot of people, and I will host the open houses. So if it so happens that I end up representing the buyer, I will drop that to 5%. But if it comes from someone else, I'm only collecting 3.5%. And we don't want to risk, not having agents bring buyers. So we have to keep their commission at 2.5%. So let's go ahead and put that in here, and then you just keep moving. So you address it and keep moving forward. I would not bring up 4% ever, but if sometimes you're going to get there, just like Kim was saying, like, and especially if it's a really high priced property, right? You're already collecting, I don't know, 60 grand, 80 grand, 100 grand, even 200 grand, right? Who cares? But just don't sell yourself short. Don't get in the habit of it, because what happens is it doesn't just cost you that sale. It costs you everyone they refer to you. So it becomes what you think is a few $1,000s becomes this whole limbo of, oh, she gave me this and she gave me that and this agent did that and da 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 da. And it ends up like over a year. It can be a lot of money, or over several years.
Yeah.
And may I also add that years ago when I was in the business, I had a friend of mine tell me something I never forgot. She said, people yell about, well, we want a discount on it. Tell them, look, you've got cancer. Are you going to go to the discount cancer place down the street, or are you going to go to the specialist that you feel can really take care of you? And you back up what you say, and they kind of, well, no, I'd go with the specialist. Of course you would.
Right.
So yeah, no, I agree. And that same scenario, you don't discount yourself because it comes back to haunt you. So no, I agree completely. 3.5% it is, Kim.
Okay. Oh gosh. Okay, Sonia, did you have, I think you had a screen you wanted to share or some documents, or no?
Well, I was just going to show you guys. So we kind of went past that because this is a contract, time. So I wanted to make sure that Kim got that in. But if you're in the process of doing this document, and she kind of just breezed over the pricing, right? And she's like, okay, well, we talked about it this time. Are we still good here? Then now we have a document, our CMA. You might want to have all your CMAs open, right? So I just wanted to share here real quick, and I do see that Lynette had a question. Do we have to let buyer's agent know there's an advantage to seller's agent commission split?
What was it? I didn't hear. I don't even see it.
Do we
I see it. Do we have to let buyer's agent know there's an advantage to seller's agent? No. No, your agreement with the seller, that would just be on your side, between you and the seller. So no, you don't have to let the buyer's agent know.
All right, so good question. It's just like whatever you charge is what you charge, and then, but the buyer's agent commission obviously goes on the listing, so that everyone will see that. Okay. Here's the deal. So let's say that she asked me, okay, so we talked about 700,000 last time. So if you wanted to go ahead, we do need to decide that price today. And and then I would say, well, you know what? I was actually thinking about it. Could we start at 750, right? Or whatever. And you're just like, well, it's really not a good idea, but let's just take a look at this again, right? So you're going to make sure you have your CMA open as well. Basically, you're going to have one screen and they're all in the same internet window. Okay, so don't do this thing of like opening one thing in Safari and one thing in Chrome, because you won't be able to switch between the screens. When you say share my screen from Zoom, it's going to ask you which screen do you want to share, and it's per application. Does that make sense? If you have one thing open in Safari and one thing open in Chrome, you literally have to stop sharing the screen and go over to the other one, versus if they're just tabs open at the top, you can toggle between them however much. Questions? Everybody get that? Okay. So I'm going to share this. So can you enable me to share? Sorry, Kim.
I did. Is it not coming up?
No.
I did before we even.
If you do the.
I had it on anyone could share. So let me see. Let's see. Okay, go ahead. Try now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to show you guys this. Some of you have seen this, but is there anyone here who has no idea what Cloud CMA is? Say I. Cloud CMA, right? So why does it say remaining meeting time 5:23? Is that just because we've been on here for so long?
You got 5 minutes.
Okay. Cool. So gotcha. Perfect. So here we go. So
Richard's cracking up. Sorry. Okay.
If you guys are hopping into CRMLS, right? CRMLS, you can pop into Cloud CMA from here, right? So you're gonna just click here, or you can do the CMA and then open up Cloud CMA. When you do, you're gonna see all the CMAs that you created that you haven't archived or whatever, right? So you can click on it, but now they added a new button that says View Live. Do you guys see that? It's pretty cool, okay? So otherwise, normally you would create this and click View PDF. So you can go through the PDF just like Kim just went over that form like that. But if you do View Live, you can see how it's open in the next window up here. So you can always toggle back and forth. So now this View Live thing is pretty cool because it allows you to pop. You don't have to go through every section, like what is a CMA, blah, blah, blah. It allows you to kind of go through. These are like the chapters that you made in there. So you can pop through these things. So if we go, you don't need to go through this and scroll through 5 pages because it's going to confuse them. So you're going to say, okay, Mr. So let's just look at the comps real quick together, right? So this is going to pop you directly over to the comps. And now this is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
When you scroll, what I like about this is here's your subject property. Oops, went back one. Then you have here, you can see it's telling the story very clearly in the window for your client. So if you look at this, so your subject property, their property is 1,000 square feet. This one tells you, okay, it's 1046, so it's 1% smaller, and yet the lot is about 37% bigger, and that's why here we are at 450, right? So you're trying to price this property. And when you're talking about this, it's helpful to see these things right on the same line. It's pretty cool, right? So this property sold for 475, but the square footage is smaller and the lot is way smaller than your lot. So, you know, maybe that'll tell you that you might want to be a little higher or so forth, so forth. You can also toggle between like the map view, so you can see where these comps are. But this is a better, it's a better visual for the client. Look at this. It's a bird's eye view, basically. Instead of you like having to scroll 10 pages to get to the map section and then go back up, right? Like it's a little bit easier to understand, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at this stuff like this. And then, of course, you can go back to the thing here, and then you can also pop over directly to, oops, sorry, I'm blocking myself over here. So if you click back and forth here, it will take you past those H1 to comps, and then it'll go to average pricing and so forth and so forth, right? So you can do that and just go forward and move around, and it'll give you several different views. And then you're going to get to your average price per square foot and all that stuff. So you can easily navigate this. Average.
It's an awesome tool. It's really, really, really good. I love Cloud CMA. I've used that several times before.
Yeah.
Sonia, can you see how much time left is on there? I guess
less
your
than a minute.
screen is
Okay,
blocked.
guys. So that was very speedy. Woo! I love it. So thanks for being here. And if you guys have questions, so I'm doing the class at 3 p.m. on tech, but you're welcome to hop on there and we can go more over this particular tech. All right, so let me know if you have questions you have. Yeah. Okay.
A quick question. Do we have time?
I don't think so.
Okay, no worries.
You can email me. You can email me.
I will do that.
Or text me, call me when we get off.
I will do that, Kim. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for joining, and see you next week.
Okay, thanks, Kim.
Okay, thank you.